Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And Taylor is back with us.
Hi, I'm back.
We started, obviously our last episode is very long. And we add even more that we wanted to add to it. But we're like, no, we don't want it to turn into a Joe Rogan episode, which it practically already did anyways. But we are making a separate episode for our theories. We also had a little bit of tech stuff going on last time. So we're like, it's just going to be easier to split this up. So we're back for a bonus episode this week, strictly talking theories for Iron Flame. So, not even to do any intro. We're just going to go straight into it. And it's going to be shorter than normal, which is good since our other one was so long.
It's an apology video, if anything.
Yeah, truly.
Creating balance.
All right. So we ended, oh my goodness, the end of this book. I expected a cliffhanger, but I did not expect the Venin storyline. I think I said this last time. It made me sad. I know you both were like, oh, I loved it. I think I didn't love it just because I'm like, great, now there's going to be another thing keeping them apart.
But yes, I do agree with that because you're like, oh my gosh, they've already been through so much, 2 whole books, let's just have them be together. But any other book that you read where there's going to be 5 books in this series, if they get together halfway through the first book and then it's just hunky-dory the whole time, you're kind of bored.
True. However, this isn't the first book. Second, and it's the end. And there's a lot more that can still go on. They can still fight and stuff. But actually, I think I would prefer them being separate than fighting.
I don't need any more of them fighting.
That's
I don't
true.
need any more miscommunication between them.
I take back everything I just said for the last 10 seconds.
Never mind. We like this. I liked it. I think
but...
that it's I think it's such a dramatic turn of events that it opens the story up for so many more possibilities within the next 3 books that it'll be more than just now we're still fighting Venin and we're still fighting Venin, and then once we finish that, then the book series is over. But now there's some little subplots.
I hope that this 3rd book, it's probably going to be all about Venin finding a cure. Probably, I know I'm touching on a little bit of your theories, Taylor, but also some that I had mentioned. But like, maybe even Xaden's mom being a Venin, re-entering it, whatever. But I hope that the Venin stop after this book and we find a new thing to hate, a new enemy or whatever after this book, and then the 4th and 5th are separate.
I feel like it's all going to be connected, to whatever the big whatever final battle or something comes with the end of the 5th book, whatever it's all, building up towards, because it's going to be building up towards something gigantic to wrap up this series. I feel like Venin will probably play a role through all of it, but I feel like it's going to... it's going to water drip and bleed into something new. The Venin is almost like a gateway to whatever the real big bad is. Or there's just so many other levels too. Because I think I mentioned this in the last book, or in the last the last episode that we did. But there's just so many things that we don't know a lot of information about. We really don't know the true history of Navarre.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about that.
The Empyrean is such a mystery. And it just seems like, we're always getting, frustrated at Xaden for keeping secrets. However, I feel like Taryn is just like Xaden, where I'm like, so much that you're not letting on. And again, I think that might just be dragonkind in general, but
I
there's
had
so
qualms
much
about that I mentioned in a previous episode. I'm like, I hate that. How can they be bonded yet keep so much from their human?
Exactly.
Because the dragon doesn't answer to a human. They don't
understand, but that feels like a blanket answer, and I need something more specific.
Right. Well, and I think it's tough too because the dragons are inside the human's brain versus the other way around. The dragon can speak into their brain and almost kind of read their thoughts in a way.
I've never really thought about that, but the human doesn't have the access to the dragon's brain.
Medium. They not necessarily to thoughts that they don't want, but Violet can feel Taryn's emotions if they're not shutting each other out. Remember,
that's true.
That's a good
point.
Got extra upset that one time because Taryn was really upset, and so it does.
She's got extra other things too when he's had other emotions.
Ayo. It does go both ways, but not equally. Taryn has way more access.
Just because he's more powerful. That's where her Signet power comes from. So, but circling back to my point there, it's just no, that was good. But I think that there's so much that the Empyrean know probably about the Venin and the history of the Venin, where they came from, why the wards needed to go up in the first place, the true history of Navarre, this fable that they keep referring back to. Like, there's so much there that I'm like, I don't know if we'll have the Venin completely go away and a new big bad person's going to come out of it. But I do think it's going to shift and realizing that, like, the focus isn't just, the Venin aren't the worst.
Exactly.
And there's even, like, other, like, so the map that we get on both books doesn't show, and I forget what it's called, but there's some island that's referred to. Like, there's...
The Isles? Or...
The Isles,
yeah.
yes. But it's it's not...
Them.
Yeah, but it's not within the map of the book. And I'm like, it just makes me wonder, like, what else potentially is out there that might get brought in.
Yeah. I hope we learn more. You made me think of this when you were talking about, like, the dragons know way more than they're letting on. I hope we learn more about the dragons' history.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Like, from the Empyrean, like, what, before they bonded humans, who were their real enemies. I mean, I know the Venin and Wyvern were, which is why they ended up bonding, but, like, even before that, like, okay, Terran's a middle-aged dragon, but we don't still know exactly how old he is. I mean, Andarna was in an egg for 650 years. So, I mean, like, they've seen some things. I'm curious to know more about,
and I guess they get to choose when they want to hatch, too. That's so weird. They get to, like, choose the beginning of their life.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy. I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe she was the only one who was able to because she's the leader of her own den. Do you think that has any
maybe
say
but
in that?
I feel like that's even, like my initial thoughts on Andarna and who she is and all of this, like, we're so shallow at first, but I think about it and I'm like, if she hatched, there was another one of her before. Like, she isn't the first of her kind ever.
They make a comment about how her parents passed early in Fourth Wing, like right after they're bonded, about how her parents, she's orphaned essentially. It was a very quick
but it's like orphaned 700 years ago.
Exactly.
Like, so this actually leads me to, like, the first theory that I'd written down. So we're always talking about the first 6. So it's the first 6 riders, and that's, like, the history that we know about Navarre. But if there's 7 dragons, that means that there's 7 riders. So there's a first 7. Ooh. That's my thought.
Oh.
And so we know very little about the first 6, but we know that that's basically, like, we basically just know there's a first 6, and that's kind of, like, where history starts and where, you know, bonding to dragons started. So it just makes me think, like, who is the 7th rider? And I get so confused with the hierarchy of the Venin and everything, but I initially was thinking that it was who I thought was the sage, which is who Xaden ended up battling and then dying. Killing.
He died him.
He died him.
He unalived him.
Exactly, he unalived him. But I'm thinking that there's this higher, so, like, and I do think that, like, Rebecca very intentionally at the, like, that last chapter there where we get Xaden's point of view when he's fighting the Venin, who he thinks is a sage, and the sage is like, you think I'm the sage? No, I'm a general, or whatever the status is. That's, I feel like,
did we
intentionally put there so that we're like, hold on, we don't know anything about their hierarchy or their structure. Is there somebody above this person? It makes me wonder, whoever is leading them, were they the 7th rider?
Ooh.
Did we decide that the sage was lower than the general or above the general?
Yes. Yeah, so it
lower
goes...
than?
Lower than. I can't...
There's, like, the student level.
Yes. These are Melissa's terms because I can't remember. Actually, if you... Maybe while I'm explaining these in my own version, you can... Or my own...
look it up.
It's in the last... I think it's the Xaden's point of view, that chapter.
Yes.
There's... Okay, like what Taylor said, like the student level, the intern. Then there's the sage. Then there's the senior manager. And then there's the general.
The senior manager?
I told you.
The assistant to?
Yeah, the assistant to the manager.
The regional manager. Yes. Then there's the general. That, or at least that's what the little bit of info we get in that chapter as far as, like, how the hierarchy goes. So, I think sages are the ones that can create Venin.
I think we get a lot of that at the end of Fourth Wing when they're in Resin. I think it's when Violet's, like, on the back of that one dragon battling.
That's when she learns. So when that one stabs her, she learns that she's like, oh, wait till I bring you to my sage. So that's just, I think at that point we only learn that there's two levels.
There's 2 levels.
So that's why they keep referring to this person as the sage.
Yeah. Yeah, this just says sage, but he, refers to himself that he's a general, emphasizes it, and that generals die the same as soldiers.
Oh, maybe no. Sorry, it's not in that chapter. I think it's in the chapter where they're in Corden. I think Viscount explains it.
I think you're right, actually.
To them.
I think it talks a little bit deeper into that.
That's to be hard to find.
Regardless, it's like we know very little about the hierarchy of the Venin. So it just makes me, like, if there's a 7th rider and it's not a known fact, and the Empyreans seem to have control and sway over just the deep secrets of the continent, that it makes me wonder, like, this was history that was rewritten, because clearly everything in the archives, they rewrite their history. They're hiding things. They're not putting the real truth in there, and their history only goes back so far. And we see that multiple times when Violet's trying to, like, figure out information just throughout both books.
Yeah.
And so it just makes me go, if there is a 7th dragon, there is a 7th rider, and that means that there was an original first 7. And I think that whoever that 7th person is must have been something related to the Venin, and maybe even like the creation, the start of Venin.
Well, I absolutely. Okay, that actually ties in so well to my thoughts. So we had talked 2 podcasts ago now about how one of the Venin was talking to Violet, saying, like, basically, once we turn you, your dragon would come too. Or maybe it was talking to Xaden, one of the two. But that line was said. And so we kind of came to a conclusion that, like, okay, so either the dragon has to turn Venin or is still bonded to the rider, but, like, regardless, the dragon is going too, according to the Venin. So that would make a lot of sense, tying into how Indarna was able to fry the Venin when no other dragon can set flame to a Venin, point. And she just seems to know a little bit more about how to kill them.
Well, and even the fact that she has a memory from when she was inside of an egg. She's like, I waited 650 years to hatch. It's like, you know something. There's so much more that this teenage grumpy Indarna is just not letting on. I also, there's this, my theory goes deeper too, because it's like my brain just starts spitting up, like, okay, if there's a 7th rider, that means there's a couple different times within the books that they mention that in the past there was a previous lightning wielder.
Yeah.
And it's been a really long time since we've seen it. And the sage that keeps coming to her in her dreams is so obsessed with getting her power specifically that it makes me wonder if the person who's been appearing in her dreams, which if it is, is it the same person that Xaden killed? I don't know. But, like,
yeah, it is, because they recognize him from Resin and from the dreams.
Okay.
I think it said.
Yeah. So
they're dead now, but
they dead. Beep boop, beep boop.
Okay.
Have you seen?
Now we're doing the robot.
No. That was a reference to 22 Jump Street.
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah, ignore. Moving on. I just watched it yesterday, so it's, like, in my brain. But anyway, so I'm thinking that, like, maybe the signet of this 7th rider might have been lightning wielding, because, again, we just know it's been a really long, I think they had said it's been like 200 years or something insane since they'd seen that. So something to think about. But I'm thinking that either when, like, if this is true, the 7th rider was a lightning wielder, but when he became Venin, he either lost his power or it was taken from him somehow, and that's why he's so obsessed with capturing her. So deeper into that, like, if he lost his power just because he turned Venin, it could be the fact that, his bond with his dragon was gone, they lose their signet, but then I also wonder, we don't know anything about their gods at all.
I wonder if they even have any.
That's a deeper...
No, the Venin, like, if they believe in anything.
Oh. Right, but I mean, like...
You're right. Just other than Malik, we don't know anything else.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
And the Empyrean, like, Terrence specifically is always like, we don't answer to your puny gods. That I'm just like, there's so much more there that I'm like, I do think we're going to find a lot more about the gods, too, as the next 3 books go on. But it makes me wonder, like, is it something like the gods took his power, maybe? Like, something happened with this first initial Venin, the 7th rider, and I don't know how exactly to formulate my thoughts here, but I feel like there's something there.
If I think I understand where you're going with this. I'm wondering, too, if you're right about this 7th rider and then the 7th rider being involved with the Venin. Maybe it wasn't the general, wasn't specifically the 7th rider, but the general was obsessed with getting Violet because whoever's leading them, like,
Right.
So it wasn't the general, it's above the general.
That's what I'm thinking.
That is who the 7th rider was. And so they wouldn't be dead yet, but that would make sense why that rider was so obsessed with getting Violet for that person.
Like, we've only ever seen...
And that person is Xaden's mom. I'm just kidding.
It could be. Again,
that would happen way before.
Be that old,
Yeah, she wouldn't be that old. I was kidding.
Yeah. I did see or not even really a theory, but someone's just like, what if the mom is the leader of the Venin? And I was like, it could be. It's not out of the realm of possibility. However,
we don't know how long
I
they
don't
live,
see it.
So,
but
wasn't there like a snippet, like, you know, the headers of all the chapters? There was a snippet about like Lilith Sorrengail looking for a cure. Wasn't there something similar to that?
Yes. So
yeah, go ahead.
This leads me to
jumping around.
Yeah, I'm jumping around. This is my third theory, but it leads in, kind of ties into this. So I think that Violet's dad turned Venin. I think a lot of people think that too, but I have a lot that goes along with it. So he stumbled upon the fables while he was studying in the archives, and he was studying about the power of the Venin so much so that he unintentionally became one. Like, I don't think her dad had this, desire to become a Venin, but he was so wrapped up in his studies, because Violet constantly refers to the fact that she hardly ever saw her dad outside of the archives. He was always in there. And so I'm thinking he became obsessed with, like, I found these fables, but hold on, let's peel back the layers here a little bit more. What's the truth? And I'm wondering if in the process of studying the power, he ended up becoming Venin in the process. So he didn't want to be a Venin, so he spent the rest of his time in the archives trying to find a cure, but he couldn't before the hunger for power overtook him.
Ooh, okay. If he is, I hope that's his origin story, and it's not just like
he sucks.
I was just about to say he secretly sucked. I like that. I've said in other episodes, I don't think her dad. I think he's dead. I don't. Well,
you think he's dead, not real.
I think he's
dead.
I think he's dead.
However,
have we seen a body?
I have a question.
True.
That's so true.
Go ahead, Ellie. I was gonna say, go. Just go.
Can someone retell the story about how, like, in the beginning of Fourth Wing, Violet talks about how her mom was sick or she was sick or something like that. Can someone? Do either of you remember more of that?
I'm about to go into that because I have
Most
more.
excellent.
I have more. So this could be an unhinged theory from it, but I feel like it couples with it very well. So I think if her dad did become Venin, I'm wondering if his Venin side became so strong. Because, I mean, even Jack at the very end tells Xaden, you can't. Like, there's no cure. You can't fight this. Like, the power is going to become so strong, you're going to crave it, however he phrases it. So I'm thinking that if Violet's dad did turn Venin, his Venin side became so strong that he actually ended up trying to kill Violet for whoever the leader of the Venin was. Because if there's this general appearing in her dreams now, someone out there knew or knows that she has this lightning wielding power, and Darna knew that she was going to have this too. And Darna knew she was special for 650 years waiting for this one specific person. And so it just makes me wonder what more could be there about this, almost like, not that we've heard of like a prophecy specifically, but it makes me wonder if there is something out there that Violet's almost like fulfilling, some sort of prophecy we don't know about yet. But I'm thinking that her dad might have tried to drain her of her power, because at the beginning of Fourth Wing, basically the only snippet we get about why Violet's hair, turns silver at the bottom is just the fact that she was really sick. She's not sure why, but because she was sick, her hair, turns silver. And so
Doesn't it mention too, though, something about like red ringed eyes? Like she had it, her mom had it, or her dad had it, something like that?
I don't recall that, but that could be true. Like,
I don't remember that being part of it either.
I don't have it.
I just remember
I only have Iron.
I remember it being like something about a fever.
Yes, she had it. Yes. She had a fever and was so sick, and then for some reason she lost the sheen to part of her hair.
Which that would make sense with your theory, because that it's almost as if her color was drained.
I literally put that in here. So I was like, I'm like, he didn't succeed in taking her powers, but this explains her fragility and her hair color. The author explains Violet's hair as if the color were drained from her hair, and I literally put, that's suspicious. Sounds like Venin to me. So I'm thinking from this, if this is true, I'm thinking that Violet's mom killed her dad to protect her. I think that she then chose to send Violet to the Riders Quadrant to save her from the same fate as her dad, So she didn't want her to go in. She knew that she was so much like her dad. She didn't want her to go into the archives and start and have the same fate, or even like maybe on top
the
of
Markham
that.
excuse as a cop out. Well, not a cop. I mean, I think she also probably didn't want that, because that she does say she didn't want her to figure this out eventually.
I think, but I think there's a deeper thing
for sure.
Like I think that that's definitely true on the surface, but I think that there's something more. Because I even think, like, you know, whether it's to save her from having the same fate as her dad, but it could also be to save her from finding out what really happened to her dad.
That also makes sense too. Like her mom, if that's what happens, like her mom killing her dad, because she even says a couple of times to Violet, but then also to Mira and Violet after they meet with Melgren. She says, like, everything I've done has always been for my daughter's children, like, because she realized Brendan was alive, but like she had multiple times, she's like, I don't, like, everything I do for you, you might not understand it, but like you don't understand, like, I've always done everything for your best interest.
I agree. She said that so many times where it was like, I feel like there's more, like, and of course every parent says that, but, and the fact that she, like, you know, sacrificed herself, I just think that we haven't seen the end of, like, the impact of General Sorengale. At the end of book 2, and it's like, boom, she's done. Yeah. I think that we're going to find out more of, like, how she really was protecting her children along through the whole time. And then my last unhinged theory regarding her dad being Venin is that if this is all true, I'm thinking, especially now that we know Xaden is Venin, I'm thinking that her surviving a Venin attack has somehow actually made her immune to Venin powers. So, meaning she could become the ultimate weapon to stop them in some way, and it might be why she's able to stay with Venin or with Xaden without him being a threat to her. Because I mean, I think it'll be something that, you know, they of course have to navigate within this next book, and depending what happens with him and them trying to potentially find a cure for him. And that even tying back to, like, what you had said, Ellie, of, like, one of the snippets at the beginning of the book was correspondence of General Sorengale, I think, with Nolan about trying to find a cure and working. I'm thinking it was for the dad before you know, whatever happened that ended up ending his life. So I don't know. I'm not sure, because I mean, obviously Violet was stabbed by one of the weapons of the Venin, became very sick and all of that. But I'm wondering if there's going to be something there that actually makes her this, like, someone tried to drain me of my powers and I didn't end up turning Venin in the process. Like, maybe she's unable to, and she'll end up being, like, the thing that takes them down. I think that that's going to be just because how the story's written. She's the main character. And this is clearly the bad guy. Of course, she's going to probably be the person that brings them to their end. But I think that all of that bleeds, I don't know, it comes together in my mind. I don't know.
I like it.
I've heard that theory on TikTok /Bookstagram.
Okay.
Too. But, like, I'm just saying, a lot of people think. I think a lot of people
I'm not original, I understand.
Yes, that's okay, good. I'm glad you were reading the subtext there. Not what I was trying to say. I know. I'm just being annoying. That's too. Thanks a lot, Taylor. Ew.
Something I wanted to say earlier too, when we were talking about the potential of a first 7 and us not knowing much about the gods. I don't have much beyond this, like, one comment, but I'm wondering, like, we don't know much about the actual Empyrean too. Ellie, I know you'd said that you had a theory at one point that Taryn might be part of the actual Empyrean, but we don't know. What if, like, if we don't know a lot about their gods, what if the actual deities are the Empyrean?
Ooh.
I don't know, because
that would be cool. That would make sense why they say we don't listen to your puny gods or whatever.
Yeah, almost like they're made up human gods, like, or maybe they're not made up, but, like.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I don't really, truthfully, if they are the real deities, I don't really care if Malik is real or not, or if it's just kind of something. But that's an interesting.
I literally have nothing for that theory beyond that, but it was just a thought I had of, like, we don't know much about any of these, and the gods are always dismissed. And it's like, you know, even the humans seem to answer to the power of the Empyrean, especially when it comes to, like, the bonding with the dragons. Like, they have the final say in everything. That I'm like, there's more.
Interesting.
Just gonna chew on that for a bit. We'll see what happens there. So I'm not tied to that theory. So if that doesn't come true,
we just throw things at the wall.
Yeah, hoping things stick.
That's interesting. I like that.
I have so many other theories. I don't know if you guys had anything else. So if you have your own theories too.
I've said my theories already. Okay. I can go ahead, Ellie.
Wait. I don't have a theory, but I had a thought that was so dumb it has to be shared. I know it's part of I Love Lucy, but have you guys seen the Drake and Josh episode where they're trying to make sushi and they can't get it done fast enough, so they're like throwing it to the ceiling and it's like coming down. That's how all of our theories are.
Dude, we need to make that real. That would be so funny.
Shoving in their mouth, putting in their pockets. Yeah.
The only theory that I have, I got really excited about it a few episodes ago, and I did such a bad job at explaining it because I got so excited and it made zero sense.
Word vomit came out.
Quite literally. But it was just about what I think her second signet is going to be. And what? Well, this will lead into another theory of yours.
Oh, yeah.
No, so
that's the next one I'm going to talk about.
I just think there's more to this than like Andarna being like her own thing, and like the fact that we knew what her power was as a Feathertail. I just think like all of that is going to it's not random. So I know I'm not going to ruin what I know what your theory is on this.
This is your podcast. You can say whatever you want.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
You don't have to.
You have to go through me too.
This is true. Ellie is also.
This is true. You're actually only a partial owner to this podcast.
Okay, so I think that, I know you think it's like distance wielding.
I have two potential theories,
but I think it is more on the astro projection side.
Okay,
but not like how Quinn can astro project herself so people think they physically see her walking. I think it's more like astro projecting her subconscious so she can have conversations with people that aren't actually there. But it's less along the lines of people. I think where I started to lose everyone with this was when I started bringing in the fact that Liam, I think the conversation she had with Liam when she was being tortured by Varish, was real. If he was dead or not, like, and I'm like, it doesn't matter if he's dead or not. I was like, I think she legit can astro project herself to like beyond the grave.
So this
beyond the beyond.
This ties in. I have two theories about her signet, and Liam and all of that plays into both. So I could see with both of my thoughts of like what I think her signet could be. I can see it tying in with both.
Yeah. But I said, because I was like, Ellie's like, okay, so you think that she can talk to people who are dead, and I was like, and those people
I see dead people.
My one and only thought is that she can talk to the dead. I think that's her second signet. That's just me.
I just think like
it could be as simple as that.
I totally could be, but I just think.
You.
Well, no, I mean, it could be
as dumb as that,
because.
Yeah.
No, not. Well, I mean, I think we have a.
You don't have as much supporting facts as I do, but that's fine. You
can
have your little thoughts.
I didn't mean for if that sounded dismissive. I did not mean for it to be whatsoever.
I don't think it did until Ellie said that.
I was more thinking that it's like they're really like you could be onto something. Like we could be sitting here scrutinizing absolutely nothing when really she's like she clearly is talking to dead people.
Her second
like
signet's
that's like she's already said that like her second signet we've seen, and she's like, I laid it out for you guys. Why are you thinking it's distance wheel? Like all these different things. So
her second signet is just air.
She's an airbender.
She's the Avatar. That's her multiverse. Is bringing in Avatar, the last airbender.
Wind. Yeah. I don't know. It could be because so many important people have died that it's like, if she could talk to dead people.
So that's another reason why I'm like, okay, if it's just like, okay, if it is talking to dead people, or like what I'm saying, like projecting her subconscious to have conversations with people who they could be dead, or they're just like not with her. Like, so like, I don't necessarily think they have to be dead. I think she just is able to.
I think that could be part of
more.
What distance wielding is.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I guess it could be either, but to me that feels more like a variation of astro projecting versus distance.
Okay.
Because of the way they explain distance wielding is like you physically being able to move, or astro project is just making people think that you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess they're pretty similar when you get granular, but
so
I just think then if that's right, that's why I think her dad probably isn't dead, but he's not out of the story. Or like he has to be dead. But he's not gonna be. It's
like
not
he'll still be a pivotal character.
Exactly, like he'll be helping from the beyond the beyond.
Say,
I see.
She's just talking to the dead.
True. Okay, true. You're so right,
Where did
Ellie.
the blanket come
I'd
from?
like to. My house.
I did.
I'm in my house.
It's funny.
Oh my gosh, no way.
I'm like having this
Now I know.
conversation. I can see Ellie, but I'm also like looking at Taylor while I'm talking, and I just look over and Ellie's cozied up in her
Bundled.
little blanket.
It is 6 degrees today, snowing. We're getting 6 inches.
What
Calls
state
for
are you in
blankie.
again? You're in. I thought you were in Texas. Are you in
Taylor.
Texas?
No.
No.
You can't. I don't on the pod. Not with the internet
Oh,
creeps.
not on the pod. You're right. You're right.
She's on the East Coast.
She's in Antarctica,
Yeah, that's it.
and
Guess
we
what?
are
My
at the
aunt
North
actually
Pole.
is in Antarctica right now. She's sending
that
pictures and
wild?
videos of penguins. That's wild.
Apparently, you can do like
You can like
tourism.
You can actually travel down there. You don't have to be like some
They're
scientist.
with Nat Geo, so I think it's like a sciencey thing. But she's not a scientist.
but they're just
She's an
regular
artist.
people. She's
Wow.
coloring the penguins for Nat Geo.
Well, we need the penguin to be colored,
Yeah.
so that's actually really cool.
But back to what's
Anyway.
important.
Anyways, I want to
Okay,
hear your
so
theories on
going-
her second signet.
So I'm gonna go just in the order of what my first thought on her
Yeah.
signet was. My first option was resurrection. I'm not tied to this, but I have things that go along with it where I'm like, I could still see it being a possibility. So my first thought when I was reading the book was resurrection. We already have it ingrained in our brains that it's impossible. I mean, they've said multiple times, like, oh, resurrection, that's not a signet that can happen. That's not a signet that can happen.
They've said that?
So, yeah, because they
That's
thought that
my
there was
new
no
one.
way that they thought there was no way that Brendan could be alive. However,
But he didn't actually die. So
Right.
he wasn't.
but so I feel like it's one of those things that it's like they've mentioned it a handful of times that it's impossible, but not really given a reason why, just that it's not a thing that can happen.
Yes.
And it makes me feel like there's probably more there. Like there's either a reason why it's not, or it was a signet at one point, and they do everything they can to stop it. So
Kind of
And
like
that's
Into
why
the
she
Six.
can talk to the dead too.
I'm
I love
thinking.
it. That's
So we
my
already
new vote.
yay.
Personally,
Another person in my court.
personally, I'm not going to co-sign this one. I
Hold
don't
on.
think that's what
I have.
it is.
I'm going to convince you.
Oh, do
Let
your
her fly.
best.
Let her fly.
I have
Take off, Taylor.
pages. I have pages of notes here
Keep going.
to support this theory. So again, we have it ingrained in our brains that it's impossible, and the only time it's worked in a way in the past is when Naelin, is that how you say his name?
Nail it. I think so. That's what I said.
Naelin, Brennan's friend, died trying to save him.
But I don't think I don't think he actually. I think he. Whatever. Keep going.
Let the woman
can't-
speak.
I know. I'm just.
These were the thoughts I had in the moment. Okay, as my theories were developing.
There's one point in Iron Flame, I think, where Brennan makes it seem like they're like, oh, Naelin died, and he didn't say that. He gave everything.
Yeah.
So I don't think Naelin's actually dead, is what I'm saying. I think maybe he's Venin or something now. Okay, keep going.
We're on the same wavelength here.
Team.
We're on the same team. Stop arguing with me.
What I do
Okay,
best.
so my thought is, but since Andarna is so rare and she's an unknown dragon breed, it seems that we don't know the possibilities of what Violet's second signet could even produce. So if she's a breed that we haven't seen in a long time,
Bro.
we don't know even the possibilities of, like, maybe there's new signets that they think are impossible or that have, like, not been seen in years, that can come back because of her. So a related sub-theory I have, just related to Andarna, is that I think Andarna is going to be able to turn invisible or camouflage, and I think we kind of see that at the end.
Yeah.
Like, she's dark as night, but they're always talking about her being iridescent in a way. And so I feel like one of her powers, is going to be just Andarna herself, is that she's going to be able to be invisible and, fly around people not being able to see her, which can also work out with if she's ever able to support and carry Violet.
Do you think that, because as far as we know, unless I just don't remember this, dragons themselves don't have powers as adults? Do we think that because she's going to be this, like, one-off, like the seventh, we don't know anything about this den and anything or whatever, that she might have powers outside of being a Feathertail? Or do you think, because I like the thought, I'm just wondering, because, like, Terran doesn't have any powers, but
Right.
he's
He's
strong,
just
and that's
big and
why
bad.
Violet's
be.
signet is so strong.
I feel like with Andarna, there's there's so many unknowns that I'm like,
That's
I
true.
could see her
it going
becoming
either way,
right.
totally.
Like I could see her becoming this like gigantic dragon that is bigger than Terran, bigger than any other dragon that there is, or I could see her being a dragon mirror to Violet and being small but mighty. And I almost feel like that's kind of how she's been portrayed for the last two books. So that makes the most sense.
Agreed.
But I feel like the possibilities with anything related to Andarna are endless at this point, because she's just kind of been this mystery to us the whole time, riding, in the coattails, till all of a sudden she's like, boom, I'm an unknown breed. I've been waiting for you for 600 years. End of book.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, what am I supposed to do with that information now, and then sit and stew on it for however long it takes to write book 3?
The point.
Yeah, and that's the point. But anyway, backing out of that sub theory with Resurrection, I think that this is going to have if this is true, I think that's a personal tie with them burning all personal items. So whenever somebody dies, they burn everything related to the person, and it's wrong for them to keep it. So like the fact that she kept the fables from her dad was wrong. That's technically illegal. The fact that she kept the little wooden figurine of Liam after he died,
well, and the notes
and the notes that she gave to Sloane,
which, if this is true, that could be part of the reason why he wasn't fully resurrected, but she was able to
there's almost like
have that conversation with him.
Like there's something, like if they burn everything, maybe that's how they like go on to the
You're
afterlife.
doing it, Ellie, or Taylor,
like
you're convincing me.
Yeah, maybe like there's I think a lot that could be there. It's either like burning everything actually helps them move on to the afterlife.
Yeah.
So maybe they're stuck in this like almost limbo realm where she's
Purgatory.
able to Purgatory. Yes, also known, I believe, limbo is another word for it, right?
It is. I just like Purgatory.
Purgatory is a more fun word, though. Let's use that, because then I think of doing the limbo. But this then could also tie in with what you were saying, Ellie, about it just simply being talking to dead people. The burning things could just be, if they don't burn everything, that means that now they're kind of stuck in this purgatory.
I'm so sold. It is insane.
It is insane. Okay, that made me think, again, same back to Cinderella's story with Hilary Duff. The steps, or the... No, she's the man. Sorry. She's the man when... I forget her name.
Amanda
the girl with the braces. No. The nerdy one.
Oh.
I'm so there. It's insane.
Eunice, thank you.
I'm so there. It's insane.
That's Ellie with this theory.
Yeah.
Ellie is
Two
Eunice.
things I believe most in this lifetime are Jesus and Taylor's theory. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
Hopefully in that order. Anyway, so then now Navarre has this rule to burn everything. I don't think they've given a reason as to why. It's just the fact that you're supposed to burn everything. It's wrong. And I think it's just to like harden people and help them, move on. And, there's only so much space and blah, 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 blah. But I'm thinking they might do that. They might have that rule because they don't want this signet to ever reproduce. So they're like, the only way you can resurrect somebody is if you have a personal item of theirs, and they don't want anybody who might have this signet to be able to do that. So they're like, no, get rid of this. And I'm thinking if this is true, if this is actually a signet that can manifest, and they're so against it, then maybe this is the signet that the seventh writer, aka, who I think might be the first Venin or whatever, this might be the power that they had. And maybe they were somebody, maybe there was almost a mirror of Violet where they were a lightning wielder and a resurrector. So they're obsessed with her lightning power, but then they have this rule of the Venin or the seventh writer, whatever comes of that, they're thinking, we can't let this happen again. There was some terrible thing that happened in the past that they're like, we're just not even going to let that become a possibility.
Very true. I like it. I'm not as sold as Ellie, but I'm getting there. So you're doing a good job.
You lost me slightly with the exact mirror of Violet matching whoever the last writer.
I don't know if that's true, but I feel like there's going to be some similarity between her and whoever the lead Venin is. Mm-hmm. Because there is some obsession with her power, specifically with lightning wielding, that, and I'm thinking that there's a tie with, Andarna's breed. So maybe there's another dragon out there that's still alive that this, seventh,
Or maybe we're thinking too specific about this.
It could be.
No. I everything you're saying is true, but maybe it's not necessarily the fact that they're obsessed with her lightning wielding. Maybe it is the fact that they know how much she's capable of, and it could be whatever her second signet ends up being.
That's true. That's a good point.
I mean, we know they're obsessed with the lightning because that's what she has, but I think
they know that she's bonded to two dragons, so that might mean
that
two
it
signets.
Could be, exactly. And that might even be just on the level of whoever the leader is. Maybe that's the only person who even acknowledges this, and everyone else.
I didn't think of it that way. That's
and or like the history of learning more, like I said earlier, about like the history of the dragons and their like what actually happened initially between them and the Venin. Could like the dragons know more than what we even realize they know. The Venin maybe know more, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I feel like I'm even losing myself a little bit the more I talk, but it could just be even something.
Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be so specific. I think you're right. I didn't think about it that way. I think I just had all these theories. I'm like, how can I make them all one giant conspiracy theory? And I really convinced myself in the process that they're all connected. But I think you're right. It could.
I love it.
So obviously, if she can resurrect, who would she resurrect? I think, we're obviously seeing her having visions of L.A.M.E when she's like hurt and injured and things like that. So is she actually able to talk to L.A.M.E? But I'm also wondering, what was L.A.M.'s signet again?
It was.
I think
Let me look it up.
I don't remember. I don't think it was anything crazy special.
No, hold on. I wrote it down.
Maybe it was
somewhere. While
While you're looking this up, if that is her signet, though, I don't think L.A.M.E is going to be one of the people that she resurrects. I think it's going to. I don't know. I think he played such a pivotal role, and I feel like it would be a mistake. As much as I love him, and as much as I would love for him to be back, because his sister is such a big part of the story now, and because he made such an impact, and like his death really affected Violet and like her character and who she was and her growth.
Yeah.
Plus, even like the little
death was pivotal
remembrance of him during the training and everything. I feel like it would be a mistake to bring him back. I think he made too much of an impact.
I feel that way, but with her mom. I don't think her mom.
I don't think her mom
would be resurrected. I could see L.A.M.E.
I think if she's gonna bring anyone back, I think it'd be her dad.
He has
and maybe Xaden's mom if she's dead,
or Xaden. Maybe one of Xaden's parents, or the parents that were killed. Sorry, what did you say, Ellie?
He has Farsight, and additionally, I do think it would be equally as impactful for them to bring L.A.M.E back as it was for them to take him away. Especially
I think so
with
too.
the little like tickle of, oh, I can see him, but he's not really there.
Well, it's almost like when she had that vision of him, that was when she was being interrogated / beaten to death by Varish. It was almost like what kept her hanging on.
Not almost. That absolutely was what helped her.
I feel like L.A.M.E has this hold and this special place for her that it's like, as gut-wrenching as his death was in the first book, it was extremely pivotal for her character development. That was how her signet manifested, or at least she was like actually able to defeat the Venin in Resin. Like, that needed to happen. But
exactly, that's my whole thing. It's like, I think he has such an impact on her because of his death, and I feel like if it would be less impactful if he came back. That's just, as much as I would love for his character to be back, because I really love L.A.M.E. I just think it would be a mistake if that's
I'm also
what happens.
wondering if the reason she's seeing him has anything to do with his signet. If he had Farsight, like, sure, he can see super far, but do we know the limits of that? Like, super far, could that be through different realms? Like, if he isn't fully dead, like if she has a power of resurrection, or I feel like there's definitely something that has to be there with them burning the personal items. Like, who knows if for some reason it's like he hasn't been able to actually fully die, move on to the afterlife, whatever they might refer to it as, because they're holding on to these personal items. Maybe his Farsight's letting him stick around as well and like project into their lives.
I feel like this is us getting a little too far into it.
that is unhinged. But it was just a thought that I had where I was like, I wonder.
That doesn't feel unhinged. That feels like the door fell off. That's
fair.
To be.
It's okay. I won't take offense to the things you say. I won't take offense.
No, I'm not.
I know. I'm just kidding.
That's all of us. I mean, we collectively got there. I think that's us just thinking way too far. Into this.
It was something I'd written down and I actually deleted because I was like, that feels very unlikely. But I don't know. Again, if I say it and it happens,
but
it's stuck.
More sushi up on the ceiling.
It's more sushi on the ceiling that might stick. It also might be one that falls down and hits me in the head. Okay, so that's the end of my first thought of what her second signet might be.
On to the next 12.
I only have two. So my second one is distance wielding. So Violet guesses that this is Xaden's second signet and mentions it hasn't been seen in centuries. And I also don't think we've heard of it before that moment when she's guessing his signets.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that has to be a foreshadow. If she's just guessing something random that we've never heard before and never gets brought up, what's the point of bringing it up?
I think you're right. I feel like everyone's, including us, we're all analyzing everything way too much. I really, like, honestly, I know we kind of joked about it earlier about Ellie being like, okay, that's a simple theory. But, like, I really think it's going to end up being something really that simple. Like, all Rebecca Yarros said is that it was mentioned. Like, it's not going to be anything that hasn't already been mentioned, and that feels like she only threw that in there to say it was mentioned.
Right. Well, and
so that we can reference back to it.
I said this last episode, but it's like when you're reading a book and something feels like you get one little nuance about their magic that doesn't actually pertain to the specific moment that you're in. You're like, this is foreshadow. Like, this is going to get brought up later, so that when it happens, you're going to be like, how did I not catch it? So whether this is actually her
cool as the Resurrection.
I know.
I will be so disappointed.
I feel like we don't. So she guesses this distance wielding.
We just don't know much about it.
We don't know what distance wielding could mean. Similar to like why I was saying like Farsight, we don't really know what that could include. But I think distance wielding, I have a stronger argument for. So I think this could easily be how Andarna sensed Violet and waited for her for over 600 years. Like distance wielding, like could strictly be something that comes from bonding with a dragon like Andarna. The fact that she was able to like
Andarna felt her presence essentially.
Like 600 and whatever years prior.
Well, I think that's absolutely what happened. Whether it's related to the potential manifestation of the Signet or not isn't TBD. Yeah. But I think, I mean, whatever the case was, whether she physically like the egg shook or like she just kind of had a feeling in her bones, like when. But she felt Violet's presence, like at some point. That's how she knew it was time for her to hatch.
Exactly. So I think that there's definitely something there. I can't tie the Andarna thing into Resurrection, but I can tie it to the distance wielding. But I can tie L.A.M.E to distance wielding too, because again, we don't know what distance. Like if we're thinking about it just in like a very black and white sense, distance wielding I would think would be like, you know, just from point A to point B in a physical stance.
That's kind of like what Xaden said. He's like, don't you think if that's what it was, I would be in your bed every night? Like, and
right.
So
that almost forces you to think that way.
That comment
to misdirect you. Misdirection. Yes.
I hate us.
I love it so much. But I'm saying, so this could also mean that her dreams of L.A.M.E is actually her speaking to him, but from beyond the grave or like whatever like limbo realm that he's in, and having the sage be in her dreams. So if it's distance wielding, it could be why she's actually like, she's not dreaming of these or imagining these things. She's actually able to like go through these different like, I don't know, like
portals,
realms.
This is my theory with a different name.
Yes. Yeah, but that's why I think distance wielding could be that. Like distance wielding could be anything. Distance wielding could be, I saw this online and I was like, that's actually, I don't know if we've seen anything to support it, but I could get behind it. Like we have 3 more books. Yeah. We have no idea the potential of what could happen here. What if one of it is distance, like if she is a distance wielder, what if she's actually able to like travel back in time or something? Like again, who knows what could happen there, but it's like she goes back in time.
On what quote unquote distance is. Is it time?
Right.
Is it physical?
Is it time, space, physical? Like distance could literally mean, and it could mean all of it too. Like I think another reason why I'm thinking that it could literally be anything within distance is that when we were talking about Brennan mending, like we're true. He's a mender. He's going to heal the people. But then he was actually able to mend an inanimate object, and they didn't even know that was possible.
That's what I was going to bring up. Yeah, that there's
it's like we're putting limits on it.
Nuances to these signets that we don't know of.
Or it could just be that she's strong enough because of Tarn that most people, it's not that they can't do more than one physical, like let's just say physical distance, that's the easiest to explain it. It's not that they can't do more than physical distance, it's that they just aren't strong enough to do anything more than that, but...
Or they've never trained it, because I mean, we see how hard it is for even to train striking, like her signet is lightning.
Yeah.
She can't strike something that she wants to practically, actually literally, to save her life.
I have an argument against
the
fact that she would be able to hop timelines.
And
this
I want to hear.
Solely gets brought back up to X-Men Endgames, not X-Men. Sorry, Marvel Endgames. And this is it.
I love it.
So there's a point where they're like talking about going back in time to stop the Infinity Stones from ever falling into the wrong hands.
Right.
And the Hulk, Bruce Banner, if you will, is like, why do people always think that jumping timelines is like we're going back in time, we're going to screw up everything if we like change things you know what I mean? Like the Marty McFly
Yeah.
situation, Back to the Future, where if they like say hi to the wrong person, that person like remembers that, and then
all of a sudden he's not born. Yeah.
Yes. And he's
Yeah.
like, that's not what it is. It's, there's literally like multiple parallels of time, which is the multiverse, that they have to jump through in order to like grab these things. And so they're not changing necessarily their own timeline, but like a multiverse of theirs. Just all that to say how confusing that sounded is how confusing it would be in the book. And I just don't know if this is the book where she's prepared to bring all that on, which is why I think that I don't necessarily think that she would introduce the timeline hopping.
That makes sense. I mean, okay. I see both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I can see both sides of anything if we talk about it too much. So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That was a good thought. I honestly too, not that I don't know if they are or not. I'd like to imagine that Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros are friends in real life. At least at this point, friendly, because
they honestly should just sit down and have coffee if they haven't.
Well, but like I feel like it's been talked about that they at least. Yeah,
I think you would get along.
Yeah. I don't know. They're at this point in time, I would argue that they're the two most popular female fantasy authors, at least currently.
I would agree.
So I would imagine that their paths have crossed at the very least. So
there's so much comparison for their storylines of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whether they've talked or not, I would think that Rebecca Yarros knows the direction that Sarah J. Maas's books are heading in with her creating this like multiverse essentially. So I don't think she would do the same thing for that reason alone. Like,
that's a good point. It's like she doesn't want her book to become just
everyone to call it like a knockoff of whatever she.
Well, because anything that
it's not
anything that deals with fae or fairies or anything like that, they're calling a Sarah J. Maas knockoff. And so the thing that's nice with this one is that it actually. I mean, there might feel like there's themes that are similar, like everyone wanted to compare Dane to Tamlin, which he's not, and I'm so glad that it wasn't an actual Tamlin situation. But I think that's a good point to where it's like she really wants this to stand alone on its own. So I didn't even think about that option, Ellie. I really think that it could be. And whether it's like, she's going to have another book series that's going to tie into this in that way, maybe not, but like it could be like, we didn't actually disrupt our timeline, but it's like, oh, there's alternate universes that we can pull from. Could be.
I couldn't handle it if it was. I think I would.
It would be a lot.
I would bow out.
Well, so when we were talking in the last episode about Xaden's second signet, and we're like, why? Like, it didn't seem to make sense to us why no one really caught on to the fact that it was his grandfather. He intentionally told Violet that it was his grandfather's dragon that Signet was, but then everyone thought it was like a great uncle or something
because he said that's how it's recorded.
So it makes me wonder, like, was Xaden's grandfather, like, they haven't seen it in a long time, maybe Xaden's grandfather was a distance wielder. I don't know, like, so like he must have intentionally, like, my thought is like he had to have intentionally written, this is something I literally just thought of the other day, so I haven't given much thought to this, but he intentionally wrote down a different name to have the record show that he was Xaden's great uncle. Maybe it was like to protect Xaden and his second signet. Like I can't think
he could see what was going to happen down the road. Interesting.
It could simply just be the fact that it was misrecorded. That really could just be the answer there.
It could be that simple, but
it could be that simple.
That feels like too big of a thing for it to be like, oh, and the only reason he's alive is because of a mistake.
Right, right. So it's like I don't know if distance wielding has anything to do with it, but it's like somehow it's whoever recorded. Somehow if something was changed or in the past it was recorded wrong intentionally to protect Xaden or whatever the answer might be. But I don't know. That was a thought that I had the other night. So anyway, with all of this, like with the distance wielding, I'm thinking Liam might be alive, but technically in a different realm. Oh, here's where I talk about the Farsight. So it's like he had Farsight when he was alive. So maybe dying gives him an advantage to hang around after death to help his friends. Or along those lines, maybe only Violet can see him because she tried saving his life or he died saving hers. Like maybe they have some special connection because we haven't seen her see any other dead people. So, and it could just be that like Liam was that pivotal turning point for her in regards to like her powers and this journey that she's now on. So that's why she's seeing him specifically. But I don't know. The only thing is that Liam kept saying that it had to be this way. He said that, he definitely said that once, if not twice, to where I was like, it had to be this way. Again, could be as simple as it had to be this way so that you could get your powers. And it's just, you know, her own imagination telling her that it's like, I wouldn't be where I am if it, you know, again, it feels like there's something, it had to be this way. Why did it have to be that way? What do you know?
That's true.
So it felt prophetic. Let's see.
I don't know if I think that his signet has anything to do with it. Simply because Farsight is never mentioned as being like a crazy rare one. And wouldn't that mean that anyone else who has Farsight and died would potentially be in that limbo then too? You know?
Yes. Also,
right,
good point.
right.
It's Farsight.
Whatever. Farsight
like,
isn't
Farsight's like you can see stuff before it happens. Farsight's you can see stuff in a dark room or fog.
Yes.
All right, and then I have one last theory.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a whole bunch of other small little ones, but this is my last like big one. So it's around Xaden and his bond with Sigale.
I want to talk about this. Keep going.
So nothing's really explained here, but we don't see Xaden and Sigale speak since he turns Venin, so we're not sure if that connection is still in their mind. We haven't seen him use his Signet power, so we're not sure if that's even there. Again, there's like all of 2 pages between us finding out that he's Venin and then the end of the book. So, but anyway, it makes me like start thinking about other people that have turned Venin. So Jack and Bade, we don't know if Jack's bond with Bade was broken. He was able to kill Bade and live. So it makes me feel like the bond there had to have been broken. But the fact that when they enter that room where the wardstone is, they are working together. So it's either like Bade is, even though their bond is broken, Bade is still just so loyal to him that I think Bade was a girl, but Bade is like choosing to still be with Jack. And then he ends up killing Bade anyway. So it makes me wonder, it's like Bade still felt loyal to Jack. What does it mean for Jack's signets? Like, does he still have the signet that he has? And have we seen him use it since he's killed Bade? I don't think that we saw him use his signet since we saw Bade die.
No, but he did try to pull magic from the ground.
He did try to pull magic from the ground too. So it brings me to this thought of like, you know, can Xaden use his signet power? We haven't. I'm sure this will manifest in the next book. We'll see what happens there. But I'm wondering if free will or choice are part of their power. So the dragon chooses to bond with the rider. And because of that, they develop a signet power. Can the dragon choose to remain bonded with a Venin, even if their power is coming from another source? Like, or I guess even like, could a dragon choose to bond with a Venin already? You know, it's like, does the bond have to be broken? Is it an either or situation? Or could Sigale choose to still be with Xaden? It just makes me wonder what's going to, despite what he had to do in order to kill the Venin to save Violet.
Oof.
Good questions.
That's a big question, yes.
I don't
These
know.
are all very good questions.
But
you know what? All of this is just making me realize how grateful I am that I'm not writing this book.
But I'm like, I really would love to see what her outlines look
my
like.
Gosh, me too.
Because I'm like, this is literally just my notes app, and it's just like my brain digesting what she's already given us.
I saw her post.
I don't even understand.
I don't remember
Taylor,
if it was just
you
on
have
her
to write a
story.
book. If you're already hopping there, you have to do it.
I saw her. I don't remember if it was just her story or if it was in a reel, but I saw her post something where she has like a full-on whiteboard.
Oh,
and she just wrote number 3 at the top. So like, this is how she organizes all her thoughts.
Everyone's looking at like the little like squares that she has at the bottom. They're like, what does it mean?
Zooming in, trying to like enhance it.
They're counting, and then they're like, oh, it's not even. And,
But I think like you said, like you just have your notes app. She has this whole like whiteboard,
this war room where she's like going through.
Literally war room. I love that. I hope that's what she calls it.
I'm sure you've seen the meme, but have you seen like on It's Always Sunny when Charlie is like working in the mailroom and he has like the
oh yes, and he's
I've
like
sent that reel
crazy
to Melissa a million
Pepe
times.
Silvio. It's like all these ties to everything.
Every time I send a theory to Melissa, I'm like,
that's
you know, it's like whatever he's doing, like, you know, he's like pointing at the board and he's like freaking out. I'm like, this is how I feel inside right now. Probably how I look on the outside too.
That's how I pictured Taylor when she sent me all of this in a text message. So it was probably I think about 20 different messages.
Yeah. I almost just sent her my note, but that would have been easier.
That would have been so much easier.
But I instead spammed her with 40 text messages in a row, and I'm like, I promise you'll want to read these. Okay, so my thoughts then from here, with, you know, just what happens to the bond of a dragon and somebody who turns Venin. it makes me think what might have really happened to Naelin. So if he had to give everything in order to save Brennan, whether Brennan died and he resurrected him, or whether he was almost dead and saved him, if he's saying he gave everything, he died in the process, or are they just considering him as good as dead because he ended up drawing power from the earth, turned Venin in the process to save Brennan? And so
I do think
Naelin was a mender too, right? I can't remember what his signet was.
I don't remember his signet, but I do think between Violet's dad, Xaden's mom, and Naelin, one if not all three of them are Venin. I'm 100% convinced on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe in order to save Brennan, he drew power from the earth, but didn't actually die in the process. They just consider him good as dead. This would mean he's either still bonded to Taryn, or that Taryn has been keeping a secret from Violet. Because Taryn,
I forgot that Taryn was Taryn's writer.
Never wants to talk. So I'm thinking. I think their bond is broken.
But it almost killed Taryn. Whatever happened. So.
And that might be why Sigale's freaking out so much, where she's just like, no, I chose you. Like, it could be so fresh in her mind because Taryn just went through the same thing with Naelin.
I'm wondering, I think that the I chose you had more to do with the fact that
they bonded.
Well, yeah, but it's like Xaden had a choice. He had a choice to stay bonded with her or do what he did to do. Do what he did to save Violet. And I think that pointed more towards don't choose her over me. But maybe not. Maybe that's just what she wanted us to think.
Yeah.
And it could be that I lean more towards
I'm
that.
I'm so shook with the idea, though, that
but I thought of and it potentially still like having a weird bond.
But that means that Taryn knows. So I think that they're
way too much.
Taryn knows way too much.
I think their bond is broken, or as broken as a bond with a Venin can be. So I'm thinking that Taryn, he wouldn't be able to go bond. I don't think you can bond with two writers.
Here's my thought, though. If their Venin were like so much of an enemy to the dragons to the point where they had to start bonding with humans in order to just defeat them, I bet they can't. Maybe Taryn really thinks Naelin is dead, even if he's not, because he's Venin now. He's not human, that he can't sense him. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. I don't think that, just because any time, and I think it's only happened a couple times, but Violet's asked about his previous writer, and every time he does, he repeatedly says the Empyrean will always have secrets from humans because they don't answer to humans. He will give no information about Naelin, and she specifically wanted to know because she thought her brother was dead, and that was the guy who also died with him. You know, Brennan and Naelin died. Like, can you tell me more about that? And he was just like, no, we'll always have secrets. We don't answer to humans. Like, he would give nothing on it. And so I felt like his insistence on shutting it down and refusing to talk about it, and people, I don't remember if it was like Sigale or Xaden or just other people she talked to, but people were dismissing it like that. It's just really, he almost died. This is traumatic for him. He doesn't want to talk about it. But I think it's more the fact that he has a secret that he doesn't know how to share or doesn't want to share.
It could be. And maybe that is like ultimately what it's going to be versus what she wants us to think. But maybe it is just, I really think that could have been just as simple as he was so broken over it that it quite literally almost killed him.
Yeah.
So more.
No way.
I'm not done.
He's got something. He's got something.
I think that there's some. I don't think he there's
he just
no
doesn't want to
possibility.
talk about it.
I don't think it's that he doesn't want to talk about it. I think it's like, because I don't think it's just that he's a Venin. There's something deeper there where it's like Naelin is like really ingrained in it now, or he knows that if he were Taryn knows that if he were to share the fact that Naelin is now a Venin, that it would snowball into having a conversation of like, who else is Venin? What else do you know? And it's like, he doesn't want to open what's going to be a floodgate by admitting he's not actually dead. He's a Venin. I felt the bond break. And I think this will be one of the first things one of the first conflicts maybe in the third book.
Between the two of them?
Between Violet and Taryn, because she's going to have all these questions because she's going to be asking Taryn, what happens to Sigale and Xaden now? Like, the love of my life is bonded to the love of your life. We didn't know what's happening. And I think Taryn's going to have to be like, well, shoot, okay, I guess I have to admit something now. So,
right. Okay.
Sit down. I have a story for you.
I'm more on board. I'm more on board with it now. But
and I don't, like, it just, then it also makes me wonder, like, all the things that come from, just this bond with the dragons and the riders. I know that there's the wyvern, they have those like runes inside of them. The runes maybe give them life. Where did these things come from? Like
I think the dark wielders
create them from thin air.
Well, I mean, the same way that the riders can make runes, and
but
even
but like the wyvern itself, basically is a dragon.
Yeah,
and, like
I think the dark wielders made out of the stones.
Yeah, so. They have access. My understanding is that they have access to magic in the same way that the flyers have access to magic. They don't have signets. It doesn't pull from dragons.
I think, but what Taylor's
I thought it was
like they don't have like even if they're embedding things in runes, like it's not a they're not creating a physical thing. They're just putting magic
they embed it. Yeah,
physically being created.
Yes, and so I don't know. I don't even believe this theory that I wrote down.
I don't believe it, but I'm going to talk about it.
I don't believe my theory, but again, maybe the sushi will stick. What if wyvern are dragons that chose to remain bonded to their humans after they turned Venin? So Taryn broke his bond with Naelin so that he didn't turn into a wyvern himself.
The only reason I don't think that's true is because it's said that like when you kill a dark wielder or however many dragon, it says they create them and then those wyvern die.
Yeah.
Sorry, not dragon. When they create the wyvern, and when you kill the dark wielder, every wyvern they've created dies too.
I'm really okay with being talked out of this theory.
It was a thought that I had. That dragons are turned wyvern after like they're I was like if they remain bonded, is that a possibility? No.
Okay. No, I want to be talked out of this.
Me here. But wyvern are different species than dragons. They have
I didn't
two
say I didn't
legs.
believe you.
They don't look like dragons. They're totally different.
I thought they looked like dragons, but there was simply just the difference that they breathe a different type of fire and they only had 2 legs versus 4.
Outside of that, they're like gray
they're
dragons.
Also smaller, and
they are a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Then I don't think
I just don't. Then I'm really fine.
No, they're bigger than Toothless.
No, I picture Toothless was Indarna.
Exactly, that's what I picture too.
But okay, I'm really okay being talked out of that theory. It was just a thought that I had. I'm like, where do they actually come from?
Like, get it out of here.
Shut it down. So wait,
Ellie, I appreciate that you and I both jokingly took the defense at the same time.
Yeah. So that's the end of like my big wild theories. I think like to wrap up just like ending theories that like you'd have about the book in general. Obviously, like Navarre is going to crumble at some point. Like it's inevitable. We know what's going to happen. Like basically half their leadership has died. You know.
Yeah.
And they're needing guidance. They know the whole country now knows that they've been lied to.
Yeah.
So there's all these things happening that like we need to figure out how that's going to play. I think Violet and Xaden are gonna obviously work together, make the continent united, recover the lost history, and then obviously a big part of the next book is going to be pursuing a way to save Xaden at the same time too. I think I don't know how to say it, Promiel.
Oh, poor Emil.
Poor Emil. The Viscount is going to try to be an ally, but he's actually siding with the Venin. He was just a very suspicious character in this whole book.
He's a slithery little snake.
He is. And he's offering them power from his land as long as he has his riches and is left safe. That's why he wanted to see Violet's power and collect her. But that's also why I think that he might be working with the Venin, because he wanted to collect her. The Venin also want her power as the lightning wielder too. So I think that there's going to be something there, like whether it's in this book or in the future, but as they're trying to like rebuild Navarre and make it more established, this Viscount's going to be like, oh, hey, I can help you. And you're going to be like, no. Little sneaky snake.
Maybe. The maid that was helping dress Zara her name was Zara, helping dress Violet when she was in Corden, because Violet asked her about that too. She was nervous. She's like, is he really gonna like keep me, whatever? And she's like, no, like he doesn't do that, but he makes you an offer you can't refuse. He's like the Godfather, essentially. Like,
I don't know if they already played that out when he was like, I'll send you and Xaden to an island and all that. Like, I feel like that already kind of...
That's what I'm saying. Right. I think that... I do think he might be slippery, but I think I don't know if it necessarily has anything to do with him being a collector of people.
He reminds me of, back to Avatar, The Last Airbender, the king of the Earth Kingdom.
I'll be honest, I don't remember much from that show.
Explain what you want, but I didn't really watch
He's
it.
like crazy. He's like a crazy old man. That's what I picture for the Viscount. He just looks like insane.
I think I've said this already. I picture him looking like the bald guy that Voldemort like sticks onto the back of his head in Harry Potter.
In the first one? That's funny.
That's
I picture
how
him as this short, fat little bald guy.
I don't know why he's bald for me too. I don't know why.
Other things, I think we're gonna see more of Nolan. I think he's gonna not Naelin, maybe Naelin too, but
we're
Nolan.
absolutely gonna see more
He's gonna
Naelin.
play a bigger role. I think he knows way more than we realize. I believe he did try to save her dad. Obviously, he worked really hard on Jack, so I think I'm not convinced that he's bad, but his whole work with Varys really put a bad taste in my mouth for the man. But I'm thinking we'll see him live another day, and he'll end up being fine.
I also don't think he's bad. I think he's okay. He just got mixed in with the wrong crowd and told the wrong things.
Yeah. And I think we're going to find out a lot more about, like I said, the first 6 at the beginning. Because even just who they are in general, like I wonder if like it's even something like their ancestors of Sorengale, Ryerson, Ados, Miari, or however you say it, like the king, I wonder if there's some tie. And again, like if there's going to be some prophecy that comes from this where it's like, oh, this is, all connected to these people. And then I think, of course, we're going to find out more about the fable, because I think that's going to be a huge part that ties into her dad. It's going to tie into Venin in general. And this was an unhinged theory, my last unhinged theory, very, very, very short. But I'm thinking it's a warning story of past history of things that have actually happened versus a fable. But then I also wonder if it might be a prophecy of the Sorengale children.
Ooh.
Because it was like one turned a dragon rider, one turns a griffin rider, and the other one turns Venin. I wonder what happens there. Because I don't know.
I like that.
That's my last little nugget. It's either a warning story of the past, which seems like the most easy answer.
I just don't know how one of the 3 would become a Griffin Rider. That's my only.
I know. I was going
I don't
there
either.
too.
But we have 3 whole books, so
That's true.
I'm not sure, because it wouldn't be Violet. And I honestly think
if anyone, I honestly be Mira.
I think
out of the 3
exactly.
Of them.
I was like, if
I think that too.
And
I think
Mira is a
Brennan would
Griffin
stay
rider
the
and Brennan would turn
dragon
Venin.
rider, and
No, Violet would
be
say the dragon.
Ooh,
No,
maybe
'cause
Violet would turn
Brennan
Venin. I'm thinking Brennan.
would
I
turn
think
Venin.
Brennan had a little romance with Naelin. I feel like that was almost
That's
like
what
a
I
little,
thought, too.
a little hint there. I
yeah.
think that might have been his little boy toy.
I hate that you said that.
I also hate that I said that, but it's out there now. But I'm thinking that, if it's one of those things where he has to choose, I feel like we've already seen
he
him make
might
very
choose.
quick,
That's what I'm saying.
and also tough and questionable decisions where I think Brennan is good, but it's almost like he makes very rash judgments because of his position of power.
Exactly.
I
I
wonder
think
if he falls into his emotions and
Yep.
I don't know.
Just makes a poor
All right.
choice.
Well, we have
So there we
3
have
more
it.
books to find out all the answers to these
Yes.
questions.
Thank you for letting me come and process all of my theories. To whoever is listening, thank you for listening. I hope that
Yes.
you liked them, because Melissa's been my captive audience for a very long time. And I'm like, I have to share this with the world. So anyway,
No, it's fine.
What's
I
the,
love.
what's the video that you do for GCU?
What's it called?
I don't know what it's actually called. You can literally, so you just type in
talking.
Taylor GCU. Basically,
Well,
it's
check
just a
out
commercial.
Taylor at GCU for
No.
more theories.
It's more
by
than just a
Taylor.
commercial. It was like a vlog series.
No, it was just a commercial.
I thought there was a
They
couple.
cut it into a couple different
Here it
commercials,
is.
but basically,
GCU student testimonial.
yeah.
If you
Check
just
out
look up Taylor
GCU
GCU.
student testimonials for more of Taylor's unhinged theories.
You see her riding a
not.
bike.
in slow
Initially,
motion,
yep,
and
and
the
then
bike
she's talking.
is not fit to me. Yeah, it's
I
really
don't think I ever
uncomfortable.
saw Taylor ride a bike once in college outside of this video.
Yeah, this is like 8 or 9 years old too, so it's just living on the internet for forever.
Wow, you're really riding this bike.
Yeah, they were. I so badly.
Oh, there's Kayla.
I so badly didn't want to ride this silly little bike at all. I was like, they're like, if you have a bike, we can get footage of you riding around and, have the voiceover in the background. I'm like, I am going to
Lauren.
intentionally not find a bike to ride because I don't want to do that.
Oh, I am in it. I'm wearing a beanie. It was at the GCU game, though. It was
Oh,
not.
I thought that you were, there's a part where they cut to us like sitting at a table
Well, I
at the
haven't
coffee
gotten there
shop.
yet.
Okay.
Oh, you're walking to the coffee shop. Oh, wait, it's cutting.
They literally gave me 20 minutes, like whoever you can get to come be at this Bible study. And everyone got really mad at me online because they're like, it's all white blonde girls. And I'm like, that was literally the only friends of mine that were available at the time. Please don't hate me or my school.
It wasn't me. It was Mary.
Oh, it was Mary. Okay.
But I was at the basketball
All
game.
right.
So,
So,
lopes up.
So anyway, We can cut a lot of that out. No. Please do.
I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed all our theories. Leave us comments if you have any, if you agree with ours, if you disagree, tell us why. If you have any of your own that we didn't go over.
The more unhinged, the better.
The more unhinged, the better. Blow the door off the hinge. Like Taylor did once. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at L.A.M.E Book Club Podcast. We're on YouTube. Same. It's all L.A.M.E Book Club Podcast. Everywhere on all the things. Just look it up. That's what we are. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, if you leave us a review, that helps a lot. So do that. And yeah, thank you, Taylor. Again, thanks for being here.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
And
this is fun.
Now, next week, I'm literally like shaking my boots. I'm so excited to start Throne of Glass next.
Me too.
So I hope you enjoyed this little bonus episode theories, and we'll see you next week for Assassin's Blade.
Bye.
Bye.